to somewhere, and a few things have changed since you were here last. So the first one is the game is currently live on the multiplayer server for the patrons. I'm currently on here on my own whilst I record, but who knows, someone might appear. Probably unlikely at the moment, but anywho, and I have transferred some of the kit across to them, that for those guys to I guess put where they want in the farm, and there are currently some fertilizing contracts for them to do. You'll notice our money has gone back up because what I've done is I took out a 40,000 euro loan on the contractor farm, put back the 20 grand that we used to do some bits on that farm, and it also means that they've got some money if they want to, for example, buy a fertilizer spread to do those fertilizing contracts, and we've got the money back that I lent them essentially, although it's all really one combined farm. I know it probably sounds a little bit weird, but it meant that I wouldn't forget, and it's easier to do it that way. And then if they do a bunch of contracts, they can earn the money to pay that back. Yeah, so that's what's changed between videos. I'm going to go repair the class. I have noticed that the steering feels a little bit laggy now I'm on here, so if I crash more, that's going to be my excuse. Normally when I am recording, I would in the wrong trigger. There we go. Normally when I'm recording, I would take jeepers. Yes. How many hours is on this? Not many. Okay. Normally when I'm recording, I would not have the server live. But I've only just put it up, and I didn't want to then go, oh no, actually it's not live anymore. The game looks really dark as well. I mean, just, yeah, I'm not sure if it looks really dark for you guys as well. Some really heavy shadows for me, maybe not for you. I'm not entirely sure. No, I don't think there are. Maybe it's my monitor is looking quite dark today. It's quite overcast here, so maybe it's that actually. Anyway, yeah, so God, I know what I'm doing, honest. Yeah, so normally when I am recording stuff, I would have taken the save off of the multiplayer server, but it only went online a very short amount of time ago, and I didn't want to do that and then go, oh no, actually I've taken it offline again. Ha ha ha. No, you can't use it. So I'm on there as well. And so the game always stays as a multiplayer game, but sometime when I'm recording, usually what I do is I turn it into a locally hosted multiplayer game. Just because it's kind of, maybe not easier, but I find that I have less lag issues. So although the game is still connected as a multiplayer game, it's running on my computer, and yeah, it seems to perform better sometimes, like that. So if you're interested in partaking in the multiplayer aspect of this, and I will say this is not a persistent multiplayer, it is not always online. There is no guarantee that there will always be work to do either, and at the moment there's only a few fertilizing contracts. It's going to get busier as we get into hopefully there being some baling contracts and that kind of thing, and once harvest season kicks in. But if you do want to be able to make use of that facility, let's just check that the rolling is working. Because I'm now on a multiplayer server, I need to wait for the map to load in. Yep, it is. Then that is a facility that is available to the paid patrons. So, yep. If you want to partake in that, you need to get over to Patreon and sign up on there with one of the paid tiers. Oh, we're getting a little bit of server lag there. Interesting. Come on. Behave yourself. I can blame all of my bad driving on server lag today. Yeah, I know. It's good, isn't it? And then the details to access it are accessed through Discord. So, yeah. As it's not persistent, it's not always available. I make no guarantees about how much it will be available, but I will try and make it available as much as possible. And hopefully, as the save evolves, more work will become available. Yeah. Then it's one of those things where as more work becomes available, it gets better the more people that partake in it. So I need to log in as an admin so I can reset, which I've just done. There we go. So yeah. Why did I stop recording so you couldn't hear me type the password in? Well, dear listener, if you're not a tech nerd, you might not care. Well, maybe if you're not a tech nerd, maybe you should listen. There have been trials that have shown that it's possible using modern computing techniques, which may have the letters A and I in them, to decipher a password based on the sound of keyboard presses. So, yes, it's... I'm not sure how accurate it is. It's something that was covered on the Linus Tech Tips WAN show a few times, and yeah, apparently the sound impression of typing keys can be used to decipher what's being typed. So that's why you didn't get to hear me type that password, not because I'm concerned about the security of the admin password on the server, but because it's a thing. It's a learning point, if anything, on cybersecurity. You know, it's a learning point for people, and that's always a good thing. What else did I want to chat about today? There were a few things. Oh, this one, given the amount of crashes I've had today already, if I remember in the edit, just in case for those of you that are not on my Discord, I'll try and remember in the edit to drop in a couple of the pictures that I've shared on Discord. This is something that we were chatting about a little bit on Discord yesterday. There is currently a sale on Steam for Dirt 2.0. You can pick it up for like £1 something. So I picked up a copy of Dirt 2.0. I actually picked up the Game of the Year edition, which was a little bit more. I've been playing that this morning. And yeah, with my driving skills, some of you might be able to guess how successfully that went. In fact, you will have seen the pictures, if I remember, about how well some of that went. I used to be okay at driving games in terms of racing games when I was at uni, which was a pretty long time ago. I put a ridiculous number of hours into Gran Turismo, the first one, on PlayStation, and Virtual Rally, or V-Rally I think it's called. Again, the first one. I think it was the first one here. I put silly amounts of hours into those games, and I was not bad at them. Particularly Gran Turismo, I was pretty good at. And yeah, I am not good at Dirt 2. I am not good at that game. But I've had a bit of fun. So I only played it for maybe 20 minutes so far, half an hour. Basically, I messed around for a little bit. I did a couple of stages, and yeah. it was one of those games that I have been aware of, and it was so cheap that I thought I'd pick it up. And if I play it, cool. If I don't, it really doesn't matter. Kind of my view, but yeah, it has pretty good crash damage modeling. I'll say that for it. And yeah, yep. It would appear that if you don't have front tires, your car doesn't want to turn very well. Yeah, I've learnt that. That's a thing. That's a thing. So I'm going to say now, I don't know how long this video will be. The teenager is home for the weekend. She's just gone out with Mrs. D to visit the in-laws. So I'm grabbing that time to do this. But when they get back, we are going to spend some time together, and that will be when I finish making this video, if not before. So, yeah. But this will mean that I have completed my goal for videos for the week. For the first time in several months, which is kind of cool. I'm kind of pleased. I've done 4 Timberborn videos. I think I'll have done 4 Farm Sim videos plus a video for Patreon, which was also one this month. But yeah, so that's my plan going forwards. There may be more Farm Sim videos on here if time allows. There may not be, but that's kind of my baseline at the moment. Trying to be kinder to myself, and I was doing 8 Farm Sim videos a week, and then 4 Timberborn videos a week, until the life stuff happened, and this has actually given me a bit of a good perspective reset. So, and 4 feels very low. I've got to admit, 4 feels very low, and I probably will creep it up slowly. If any of you, those of you that know me, know. And a few times I've done where I've tried to rationalize how many videos I make in a week, and it's never lasted. And quite often in the last few months have been dictated by life events and then a very hectic work schedule. And that very hectic work schedule, is kind of ebbing and flowing a little bit, and we'll see how we get on. And this week's been a bit weird because the teenager's home, and she's not been home like this in a little while. And yeah, it's kind of cool. I wasn't actually thinking that I was going to make a video today, but they've popped out to see the in-laws, and I was spared that joyous occasion. So yeah, I'm making a Farm Sim video because that's fun. That's how I like to spend my spare time. Well, actually, how I spent a lot of my spare time, how I spent my Friday evening, because I actually spent some of my Friday evening chatting with the teenager because she got home yesterday. Mrs. D was in bed because she was exhausted. But what I spent some of my Friday doing was organizing data, because doing this generates a heck of a lot of data, and I'd been a bit lazy. And although I've stopped, I don't know, although I don't record content on my desktop as much anymore, it's now predominantly my editing and rendering PC. Predominantly is a good word, isn't it? The SSD in it had got full, because I copy the data to there, and then I edit the videos and render them, and then they get uploaded, and then the idea is they get moved off onto my archive disks, and I hadn't been doing that. And so yesterday I spent, overnight the computer was doing a lot of work doing that, and it actually still is in the background because copying to those is really slow. They're not set up brilliantly, but there's redundancy in there. So yeah, Yeah, I'm a giant tech nerd. And you guys watching my videos lets me be a giant tech nerd. So yeah, I spent Friday organizing data. And basically, I like to keep as much or as long of my video history as I can. Within the amount of storage that I have. I have plans to buy even more at some point, but yeah. And so I was shuffling video files around, and it's quite slow sometimes because they're quite big. That is not going to work. That is not going to work. Speaking of shuffling, we need to shuffle over. There we go. Back down. There might be a bit of a gap there. Yeah. So I know I live a crazy life, don't I? I live a crazy life. Yeah. So that's that. In terms of on here, let's say we've still got a field to plant. We've got 2 fields to plant actually. We've got 1 more grass crop to plant. We've still got the apple trees to do. No, I hadn't forgotten. I'm just in no rush to put them in yet. I'm kind of curious on people's thoughts for the little field, or if anyone can remember what I said I would plant in there. Going into May, so we've got some options for planting still. We've got a few options, but not many. So we could plant some root crops. We could plant some sorghum. That's about it, really. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on what we should stick in that little field to have something growing in it. Basically, we don't want to leave the field empty. Because I can't remember what I said I was going to... I'm just going to skip rows here. I can't remember what I said I was going to put in there. I know, I should make note. I used to, and I will do once we're doing things properly. I will be making notes on what we plan to plant where. The reason that I've not got course plate running to plant something else in the other field is we need to roll the field on the same week. So we can't do that until next month. I'm hoping next month. The other thing I want to look at. Do we have many fields growing with... I'm going to need to do this in 2 steps. I'm going to need to turn. I'm curious whether we have many grass fields or grass-like fields on here, as to whether we will be getting any baling contracts coming up. For 2 reasons. One, for keeping the contracting business busy, and another reason for allowing us to earn some cash or to produce some food. So alfalfa, 2 alfalfa fields, no clover grass I can see. So there's a big grass field. There's some meadow hay fields, cool. So we should get a few grass working contracts. I'm really hoping those are going to kick in next month. And if we might be able to start skipping a few weeks once the fields are planted. Horse grass. There's a horse grass field. Okay, field grass we're not going to mess with. Herb grass. There's some herb grass fields. That is good. Pasture grass. There's a few bits of pasture grass. I'm guessing those might actually be pastures. Okay. So there are some fields. So we're hopefully going to get some baling contracts, assuming the Actually, baling contracts tend to hang around, don't they? We tend to not need to worry about lazy farmer with those, so we should be okay. We should be okay. Yep. Cool. That's good. Yeah. So, obviously, because you're watching, from a farming point of view, maybe tell maybe not the most exciting videos in the world. But as I've said several times, and these are the jobs we need to do on the farm. We need to roll the fields. Why has our cash dropped so much? What did I spend money on? Oh, repairing this guy. Again, this is a tractor that I've not used a lot, so kind of nice to use some of the kit. This is a relatively new tractor. This is one of the ones that we brought. Oh, lag. One of the ones that we brought early on. Not early on. Brought recently. What I mean to say. One of the ones we brought fairly recently. So, yeah. I really don't know the growth calendar well on here. So we could maybe start to be looking at getting harvest contracts in early June through June, July, most of the way through the year. Once we hit July, maybe it looks like we're not going to be getting baling contracts in May, maybe into June. Okay. I may have been a little bit premature. So what it might be sensible to do in that case, if things are looking a little bit spotty and sketchy, is either, and answers on a postcard please, because that means the contracting work might look a little bit sketchy as well. The alternative option is wow, those are expensive. That might answer my question without you guys needing to have any input whatsoever. There's some 200 grand is still a lot of money, isn't it? 200 grand is 180, 150. Okay, so that might be tolerable. What I'm wondering is, I think I mentioned in the last video about picking up a forestry plot, whether we do a bit of, I guess, late spring, early summer forestry. Interested in folks' opinions on that, or whether we just, if there are no contracts, just keep skipping time. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, please. That would be very much appreciated. I'm kind of flexible either way. It might be more sensible to make progress and push through the weeks rather than hanging around in the kind of no man's land of waiting for stuff to happen, particularly as we don't have animals to care for at this point. So we can skip time without having to worry about any, feeding or anything like that. We can just push on. So yeah, let's just do a contract refresh while I'm also kind of just gas bagging away. I suspect we might have to wait until next game month for more of those. Yeah. So the other things to chat about, I guess, because that's kind of what I do while I'm doing this. There's a few more things to chat about. So I was watching a bit of real farming on the telly earlier. Kind of cool. This Farming Life was actually some really old real farming TV from way back, but I kind of like watching that. It's always kind of fun. I really like that show because it covers quite a wide range. I mean, it's generally smaller farms, generally the stuff that they're showing in the series that I'm watching, series 4, was mostly animal farms. Not so much arable farming in that series. Yeah, but it's kind of cool seeing the real stuff, and that gives me some hints about things that I should maybe be doing. One of the bits that I like is it was showing off a lot of hill farming, and you know, seeing land that you could never really do anything else with being used to make productively. You know, sheep grazing grass that's growing out of rocks and off the side of hills and mountains that, you know, you couldn't build on it really. Well, you could, but it'd be really expensive and probably quite difficult to do with so the properties wouldn't subside and all that kind of thing. You couldn't farm it for crops. So you put on these wonderful machines that turn grass into lovely, delicious food. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. Enjoyed that. And the other thing, I had a slightly frustrating morning today. So I was out for a run, out for a long run, and there's I think they run as a charity, but a local organisation, shall we say, that that helps with escaped, lost, stray pets and animals. And there's a dog locally that I think it got away yesterday, or they've been trying to catch it since yesterday. And I spotted it while I was out running. It was laying down in a hedgerow. It's a very skittish dog, and it's a hound, so it's a very quick dog. And I managed to spot it, and so I was just standing watching it, trying to get hold of these people, and by the time I'd managed to get hold of some people, it had got up and run off, which was really frustrating. I followed it for a while at a distance so I didn't scare it. I tried to call it over when it got up because I wasn't that far away from it, far enough that I wasn't, you know, worrying it, but once it got up I tried to call it over, but it had none of it, and yeah, that really frustrated me. This poor dog. Yeah, that really annoyed me, and it was really kind of, yeah, I lost it in some fields because it was very fast and very sneaky and skittish, and it didn't want to come to me. So I'm going to run the same way tomorrow, and I'm going to take dog treats with me just in case. And if it's there, I'm going to try and entice it with food. I don't think it'll be back in the same place, but you never know. And it's not the first time that I've encountered dogs while I've been out running, and the very first one I did manage to catch, and it got rescued and sent off to a new home. So yeah, because it was a stray. Yeah, that was kind of a bit of a downer actually, but I was able to give them a new location for where it was, but no one was able to get out quick enough to help. So that was a bit frustrating. Anywho, we are making progress, which is good. Yeah, getting the farm into the state it needs to be productive, which is good. Oh, there's again more random tales from this one's kind of from the week. So I've often spoken about a local field which is, I think, from almost as long as I can remember now, the farmer grows maize in it, and they chop it for silage every year. And they chopped it about the same time this year as they normally would. And then just after, they've had a bunch of contractors move in. And there's a fence gone up, and they're digging holes everywhere in it. And I'm not sure. So there was also a planning application that went in. I'm not sure if it's being turned into housing, which would kind of suck. Yeah. Or whether they're doing survey work to see if it can be housing. I don't know. But could definitely suck because it's kind of close to home. Anywho. Yeah. I don't like seeing farmland turned into housing. I know we need housing. People need somewhere to live. But we also need food. And I guess this is food for food. Because animals need food. And we eat the animals because they're tasty. And they're good to eat. But yeah, it's kind of sad if we're going to be losing. I know there's a few plots around where I live where they're looking at being sold off to be turned into housing. We've also lost a few big fields to growing solars where I live. Actually, where was I driving? I was driving somewhere recently. It was somewhat locally. And there was a lot of solars being grown. And a lot of solars being planted. Now, I'm going to say that to some extent, I can't blame the farmers. If, you know, I only caught a bit of it. But I suspect a lot of you are aware of Ollie blogs, you know. You're watching about farming on YouTube, even if it is just me who has no clue about actual farming. But I saw a bit of his rant on Instagram about how in the UK they're looking at possibly changing how farmland is taxed and how that is going to be really bad for farming. I have no more information than I watched him talk about that bit. And about how factually correct that is or not. But, you know, I do see a lot of other farmers on Instagram and stuff in the UK struggling with weather and that kind of thing. And with, again, I don't know the details of how badly it affected everything, but in the UK with the change in, you know, leaving the EU and how farming is funded and all that kind of thing, because farming does seem, you know, does get subsidized. We need food to eat as humans. And if running a farm as a business is not profitable, it needs to be subsidized. If we don't have food, we will die. You know? So if that's how it works, that's how it works. And obviously in the UK and in Europe, the EU funded a lot of that, or subsidized a lot of that. And when we left the EU, for farmers in the UK, that changed. And so that's all changed. And if it's getting to the point where farmers are, to stay profitable, are having to grow solars to, you know, not go bankrupt, I don't blame them. But it's just kind of a little bit sad. This is something that I have spoken about in the past. I'm pretty sure, because I remember, and I actually think I've talked about the particular local solars that I'm talking about, because people complained about them from a planning permission visual point of view. Now, to see these solars being grown, you have to put in some effort. They are not near places you will drive past, for example. Now that means you could maybe say, well, my walk in the countryside's been spoiled, but they're not even that visible from like the public footpaths, because, and one of them is, but yeah. So for me, it's more the loss of farmland, and I don't blame the farmers for that, because they've got to, people have to make a living. But yeah, this video's got random. It's kind of sad seeing farmland go to grow solars. I'm not saying that things like solar panels are a bad thing on land. Maybe they're efficient enough that it's having a significant input to the grid. In the UK, maybe that's questionable. But maybe there are better places to put them, Another lag spike. Maybe the places to put them are on all the big industrial buildings that have flat roofs. Now, probably most of those buildings weren't built with that in mind, and the mass is a problem, but maybe in the future buildings should be spec'd so that the roofs have to be capable of supporting solar panels and that kind of thing, I'm far from someone who's an eco-mental nutist. Sorry if I'm offending people using that term. I recognise we probably have to do things differently. Nuclear. But we probably have to do things differently through very long-term planning and change. Would be my guess. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm just some dude rambling away on the internet. Driving a fake tractor around a fake field on some fake grass. Actually, speaking of nuclear, did I say nuclear out loud? I think I might have. I listened to a really cool podcast about Chernobyl, however you want to say it, called The Poisoner's Almanac, which has the added benefit of being done by someone who is neurodivergent, which for me, I see as a benefit. And yeah, it was really cool. They are not nuclear physicists, but it was a really cool distillation of some of the facts that led up to it. I discovered it because I follow the content that the couple that produced the podcast do on neurodivergence on Instagram. And I've heard them talking about their podcast, and I decided to have a listen to it. And I enjoyed it. So I'm actually going to listen to it a few more. So they're talking about ghost towns, which obviously Pripyat is a ghost town now. There are some people that live there still. And I visited a few ghost towns in the States when I've been traveling there, and they're really cool. These are the ghost towns that I visited, and were like really old, Western style ghost towns, but yeah. Rather than ghost towns that are ghost towns because of some disaster which has meant they've had to be evacuated. But it was cool. I enjoyed it. Go check it out if you're curious. It was called The Poisoner's Almanac. Yeah. I can't remember the name of their neurodivergent Instagram if you're interested in that, but that's mostly I find really funny, but more so because it reflects life quite a lot as someone who's neurodivergent. It's one I share a lot with the teenager because we both relate to the things that they say rather a lot. Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of rambling in this one, isn't there? Some of you will love that. Some of you will be like, where's the Terralife? Terralife's happening in the background. Welcome to how videos work here. So we are nearly done with the rollering. There are some gaps, but the gaps are fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to sleep. And we're going to see what the fresh month brings. And that'll be it. I just want to get a picture of what May looks like. Up, back up. Wow, that was done awfully. Right, let's lift you up. Let's fold you up. And let's head to the exit of the field. Need to get a pressure washer installed on my side of the farm. Or a hose pipe. Probably a hose pipe because it's cheaper. And I'm cheap. And I need to fill up the diesel tank as well because we're getting low on diesel. I emptied the carbo lime out of the sprayer as well. So I've got a diesel tank back there. You just haven't got any diesel in it yet. And I believe we have a sleep trigger over here. That's the house. Oh, there's the floor. Need to find it. Let's turn on the interactive markers. There's a spawn point there. I had assumed there was a sleep trigger. And you know what happens when you assume? Yep. Yep. Let's check the map. Do we have a sleep trigger anywhere? Let's turn off a bunch of these. What's that one? We do not. Oops. Right, is there a sleep trigger built into... There is not. Well, that's mighty annoying, isn't it? Because I removed sleep anyway. Why not turn it into a multiplayer game? Right, what we will do instead is I'll do this and I'll see you on the morrow. Good morning, folks. It's proper, I was going to say proper farmer time to wake up, but clearly I've been awake for a while and we've had breakfast and we're good to go. And the map is, actually it's just finished updating. The map was taking a little while to update. Our crops are growing a little bit, which is cool. Nothing is harvest ready. There are no new contracts, which is a little bit of a pain. I did think we could have a quick look at the state of our fields. So the herb grass is growing quite nicely. The grass is grassing, obviously. Yeah, that's what grass does. It grasses. Yeah. I know, farming knowledge being imparted at a rate. The silage maize is cropping up. Look at those cool little plants there, just peeking through the ground. Silage corn, with some big ass rocks in there. But we'll deal with those next year. And then the thing that I haven't checked yet, which I need to check. See, this needs carbo liming. Yay, more liming. I think that might be a job for off camera. The other job, the other thing that I want to briefly take a peek at is this stuff. It doesn't actually have any information on it. But it's pretty well grown on, I'll say that. But I don't know if the landscape, what the landscape grass gives when it's mown. Whether it gives green cut or whether it gives something we can silage. I need to have a look. Because that will dictate whether I want to, I've returned to the plough, but whether we want to plough this in and replant it. The other thing is whether we probably want to do something, we want it to be something we can feed to the cows as well. So, because that's going to be quite convenient if we could indirect graze this side of the road, the track. Anywho, I'm rambling quite significantly. So, yeah. I think for the next video, my goal, and hopefully I'll have more time, I don't know. So, I will probably be recording the next video from a hotel again next week. But the plan is to get this field done. So this is going to be alfalfa, I think, is the plan. We need to get it limed and planted and rolled. It's quite a bit of work. I'm going to slow the clock down. I'm going to leave the server up. But then I think, subject to the comments from you guys, I need to check things like fertilizer. So we've got some fertilizing to do. But beyond that, I might just start skipping weeks until we either have work to do or we are... Either it's skipping weeks until we've got work to do or we look at a forestry plot. And the plot we were looking at was it that guy? Nope. Nope, it was that one. I could do a quick... Just to check it is actually forestry land. We should put the drone up, shouldn't we? Yeah. Drone. Zzz. And it's not the biggest forestry plot, is it? If I get the... if I get DS Agri going on that, they'll clear that in 5 minutes. And we could always resell it after we've cleared it and we'll make money off the logs. But, yeah. Anywho, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed today's ramble. Thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Comments, questions, or suggestions below. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button. We do not smash like buttons here. If you smash the like button and break it, you have to buy me a coffee. And I'll see you next time. Bye.